Nowadays, China has started increasing its influence in space, and soon China is going to become the third space power in the world. But China's sudden aggressive approach in space has made the major space powers nervous, because the situation is really something else on the ground. We know what China's attitude is like, how it has made many countries its slaves even today, and how it is using different tactics to occupy the lands of other countries. But major space agencies like National Aeronautics and Space Administration believe that China is going to do the same thing in space, and this threat could cost the whole world dearly. National Aeronautics and Space Administration Administrator Bill Nelson recently claimed that China could seize the moon and drive other countries away from there, and that the entire world's economy could be run from there. If the moon falls into the hands of a dictator like China, then nothing can stop the whole of humanity from becoming enslaved in the 21st century. Here, the space race is only between three superpowers, the United States of America, Russia, and China. But the whole world will not be able to escape its impact. Everyone is aware of the political relations between the United States of America, Russia, and China, but even then, National Aeronautics and Space Administration and Russia will not be able to escape the impact. As rivals, their competition will extend into space too. And in today's date, you can clearly see this happening. It's a controversy because there's a kind of competition visible between National Aeronautics and Space Administration and China's space missions. To be the first to take control of the moon? It's a controversy because there's a kind of competition visible between National Aeronautics and Space Administration and China's space missions. The United States Congress refused to let National Aeronautics and Space Administration collaborate with China, and Russia itself did not sign this agreement. They said that this agreement was completely focused on the United States of America, and that's why China and Russia came together and established a joint project to put the United States of America on the back foot. It's an international controversy because National Aeronautics and Space Administration and China's space missions are creating a kind of competition. All countries know what benefits there could be to establishing a moon base on the moon, but according to the space law, no country can legally claim land on the moon. It's a controversy because National Aeronautics and Space Administration and China's space missions are in a kind of race. Anyone can take control where there are valuable resources. Besides this, commercial benefits and military advantages can also be gained from here, and these things are enough to attract any country towards themselves. Now let's talk about space laws, about how any country can violate space laws and do things that the whole world will have to suffer for. It's controversial because National Aeronautics and Space Administration and I are in a kind of competition. It's controversial because National Aeronautics and Space Administration and China's space missions are in a kind of race, meaning China or America. If they want to take control of the moon, no one can stop them, and the only thing that can stop them are the country's own values and principles that can restrain them. Anyway, this treaty says that the exploration of outer space should be in the interest of all countries and humanity. All countries can freely explore outer space, but no one can claim ownership over it. The moon and other celestial bodies should be used for the peace and prosperity of humanity, and astronauts will represent human civilization, meaning they will act in the interest of humanity. It's controversial because National Aeronautics and Space Administration and other space missions are competing with each other. We can make a separate video on that if you like. It's controversial because National Aeronautics and Space Administration and China's space missions are competing with each other. Because none of the superpowers signed this agreement, United States of America, Russia, and China never signed this agreement to stop them from claiming the moon or to awaken their conscience. It's controversial because National Aeronautics and Space Administration is giving China missions a kind of jurisdiction at this point. It has been said that if any country launches something into space or lands on any body, then that thing will remain under that country's authority. For example, if China builds a research facility on the moon, then China will have authority over it. There's a race to claim land and conduct research on the moon, which is why everyone wants to go. People realize these treaties and agreements will ultimately be meaningless, because in the future, the one who has resources will become the superpower, and the way resources are depleting on Earth. The moon is our next target, and that's why everyone is panicking because of the aggressive approach towards the moon. Space exploration has always tested the limits of human civilization. As soon as National Aeronautics and Space Administration is preparing to land astronauts on the moon under its Artemis program. But along with this, the dangers present on the moon will also become a reality for us with this mission. Imagine that an astronaut has gone on an expedition to a remote area near the moon's south pole. But then a major incident happens. That astronaut goes deep into a crater near the moon's south pole, which is always covered in darkness, where no radio signal can ever reach, and the temperature drops below minus 173 degrees Celsius. That astronaut is now fighting a battle between life and death. A very dangerous and remote area on the moon where nothing can be seen for miles, no global positioning system, no radio connection. Besides that, astronauts are experts at dealing with the most dangerous situations. They are trained specifically to handle circumstances like these. But the conditions on the moon are unlike anything found anywhere else, where blackouts are bound to happen. This makes any rescue operation to be carried out extremely challenging. On Earth, we can organize any rescue operation within hours, but on the moon, any such rescue operation would take much longer. Every second, we will face a new danger. In that space environment, in the vacuum of the moon, any equipment can malfunction, the navigation system can give us errors, and all these instrument failures can prove fatal for those living on the moon base and for the astronauts. So to deal with all these problems, the new lunar distress system is going to come in handy here. A team of researchers from University of South Africa, that is, the University of South Africa, has developed it. This system can prove to be a boon for astronauts going to the moon. It has been designed keeping in mind the moon's harsh and unique conditions. This system ensures our astronauts on the moon are cared for in any situation or remote location. They can send a distress signal to their base where someone will be present to help them. And this groundbreaking technology can save many lives in the future. This technology is going to be the future of space exploration because it's not limited to just the moon. In the future, this technology will be used everywhere. So in today's video, we will explore some unknown dangers of lunar exploration that really make National Aeronautics and Space Administration think twice. And how will the rescue system work on the moon outside of our Earth, and how can it help us here on Earth? So fasten your seatbelts because this exciting journey is about to begin. Dangers of lunar exploration. Exploring the moon, colonizing it, sounds very futuristic, science fictional, and extremely exciting. But it's one of the most dangerous environments where humans would ever want to live. There's no atmosphere on the moon. This simply means that there's no air to breathe and there's no weather there. And there's also no protection to shield us from the deadly radiation coming from the sun and space. During the day on the moon, the surface temperature can reach up to 127 degrees Celsius, and at night, this temperature drops below minus 173 degrees Celsius. And in such conditions, where there's such a huge shift in temperature, without any shelter or proper equipment, this shift can kill humans within minutes. The south pole of the moon, where National Aeronautics and Space Administration is preparing to send its future missions, is even more dangerous. That area is filled with craters submerged in permanent darkness, which are miles wide. Sunlight never reaches these dark regions. Because of this, some of these craters are so cold that they are among the coldest places in our solar system. And if anyone goes on an expedition to these areas, they will have to rely completely on their equipment. And if there is even a small mistake here, the consequences can be fatal. Another major risk comes in communication. Radio signals are weak in the rugged areas of the moon, where radio signals can't reach. So he won't be able to contact mission control or the nearby colonized areas. The harsh environment of the moon and that loneliness will be such that it will become impossible for him to call for help. In such survival situations, time will be everything. Every single second without communication for them. Next, some mechanical risks also arise, like the spacesuit, rover, and life support system. All these things are designed to operate in the harsh environment of the moon. But these are not completely foolproof. And if even a single equipment failure happens, like a crack in the helmet's visor or a malfunction in the oxygen tank, or you could say that if the rover dies, it will put the astronauts in a situation where there is no way to escape. And there won't be any backup for them there, and in the vacuum of space, unlike in a game, there won't be any second chance. During the Apollo missions, the astronauts were fully aware of these dangers, but those missions were only for a few days. But National Aeronautics and Space Administration is Artemis mission, in which astronauts may have to stay on the moon for a few weeks or even a few months, and the longer they stay on the moon, the greater the chances of them getting stuck in such a situation or something going wrong with them. And at this point, having a reliable rescue and communication system becomes extremely important for the colony that will be built on the moon. Without this, we can't even think about exploring the moon for a long time. There are some unknown factors that we often don't consider, and there will definitely be some such factors on the moon as well, which can ruin our planning at any time. Our astronauts can get into big trouble at any time. And at that time, the loss we suffer could prove to be the biggest setback for the entire space industry and space exploration. And that's why we really need new alarming systems. How Lunar Distress System works. The new Lunar Distress System is a technological breakthrough for us, which has been designed keeping in mind some unique challenges that arise during space exploration. However, it is based on the existing COSPASSARSAT system, which is a rescue network. We often use it on Earth, but to adapt it to the extreme environment of the moon, many changes have been made. There is no on-ground infrastructure or global positioning system on the moon, and there are no towers either through which we can transfer signals. So this new lunar distress system is completely based on a constellation of satellites that will be orbiting the moon, and they will be keeping a sharp eye on every corner of the moon. And that network of satellites will be the foundation of our distress system. How does it work? For example, suppose an astronaut is stuck in a dangerous place on the moon, then he will send a distress signal. Directly to those satellites that will be orbiting the moon, and then from there, those satellites will forward that signal to Earth-based mission control or to any nearby lunar base on the moon. Which means that if any astronaut is really in trouble, someone will immediately find out about it. And he is also the founder of Safety from Space. He explains that the beacon can handle transmissions for up to 10 hours even in low power conditions. And this becomes extremely important for those astronauts who are going far from their base for work or exploration and have limited battery life. The device developed by their team should be lightweight and energy efficient, which is very important for survival in space. Another feature of this system is real-time tracking. The satellite network continuously monitors the astronauts' location, allowing mission control to track their movements, even in conditions where they lose contact with the base or ground control. And this capability becomes especially important when an astronaut gets stuck behind a very high mountain or in a deep crater. In such emergency conditions, if we know the astronaut's exact precise location, it saves us valuable time in locating and tracking them. That means it doesn't require constant human supervision. Every second is very precious in an emergency, and because of its automated response system, astronauts can focus entirely on their own survival. Because they will know that, thanks to this system, their information will have reached ground control or the lunar base, and some help will definitely be on the way to rescue them. This technology is not just a safety measure, it could prove to be a game changer for space exploration. By providing continuous communication and location tracking, it gives astronauts the opportunity to explore farther. This assures astronauts that if anything goes wrong on the moon, help will be available for them immediately. Applications beyond the moon. The most exciting aspect of this rescue system is that it won't just be used on the moon, but we will also be able to use this system beyond the moon. For example, the challenges humanity faces on the moon, such as communication blackout and long response times. And on Mars, the conditions will become even more frightening. Suppose an astronaut gets stuck in a serious situation on Mars, then a distress call from there could mean the difference between life and death on Earth. But with the use of this new system, if an astronaut gets into trouble, the beacon technology will immediately send this information to ground control on Earth. But at the same time, the information will also reach the base built on Mars so that their companions can quickly make a rescue plan to help that astronaut. A team of researchers from the University of South Africa has also developed a version of this technology for use on Earth, which is called Beagle. This technology can be very useful here on Earth in any remote or hazardous environment or in search and rescue efforts. For example, from mountaineers stranded in the Himalayas to first responders working in disaster zones, Beagle provides low-power communication. Even if other conventional networks fail there, this technology is so reliable that it will keep working even in the worst conditions. Beagle's two-way communication feature makes it even more useful. Unlike traditional Save Our Soul systems that only send a signal. Beagle also allows people to communicate with rescuers so they can update others about their situation. This real-time information can greatly help rescuers in making and executing their plans. This also saves time and reduces loss of life and property. Here, we see a similarity between space and Earth-based applications, showing how space technology can prove beneficial for humanity. Whether it's about rescuing astronauts on the moon or saving people trapped in serious situations on Earth, Beagle technology ensures that anyone using this technology never goes out of reach in any way. Their communication remains intact in any situation. This new lunar distress system is a big step for the safety of astronauts as we prepare for long-term missions to the moon, Mars, and beyond. But for this, we need a reliable communication and rescue system. We can't take chances there, but the impact of this technology goes beyond space as well. Beagle can bring a revolution in search and rescue operations here on Earth as well, and this shows us the capability of this new system. This shows how the innovations happening through space exploration are making a difference in our daily lives and our everyday routines. How things are getting even better, whether it's the moon or the remote areas of Earth. This technology ensures that if someone is stuck in a bad situation or in an emergency, they can always contact someone. Just like National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Artemis program is moving forward, our dream of exploring a new world is also about to come true. But exploration is only possible when it is safe. Many thanks to the researchers of the University of South Africa for their commendable work. Now, whether astronauts are on the moon, on Mars, or in any unknown place, they can go there with full confidence. Even knowing that there is danger there, but they also know that they have a lifeline. There is a trust that if they get into any trouble, the people behind them will come to save them. Do you know that there is a side of the moon that you have been unaware of until now? Actually, due to the gravitational force between the Earth and the moon's rotation time and revolution time are exactly the same. That means the time it takes for the moon to complete one revolution around the Earth is exactly the same as the time it takes to rotate once on its own axis. In this way, the same side of the moon always faces the Earth, which is the side we see at night. This strange phenomenon is why we have never seen the so-called dark side of the moon. In fact, whenever it has been observed or even when attempts have been made to go near it, some strange and unusual activities have always been seen. For example, during the Apollo 11 landing, when the two astronauts, Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, landed on the surface of the moon, they saw something strange happening there. What they revealed to the world after returning to Earth made everyone think deeply. And at the same time, this strange feeling also raises some questions in our minds, like what exactly is it regarding the part of the moon we haven't seen, or perhaps it just hasn't been shown to us. With so many mysteries like this and a quick recap of the past, well, this story begins. It was the night of July 20-20, 1979 at 8 o'clock, Houston, Texas. There was a lot of hustle and bustle at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration Control Center. Everyone had their eyes closed and their fingers crossed. National Aeronautics and Space Administration could have paid a very heavy price for this, but here, the fate of National Aeronautics and Space Administration and the three astronauts was on their side, and overcoming all the obstacles and difficulties, they successfully reached the moon's orbit. There, Father Michael Collins orbited about 100 kilometers above the moon's surface. At such a moment, when this landing was accomplished successfully and Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon for the first time, he spoke those historic words: "One small step for man, a giant leap for mankind." And with this one step, the storm of lunar exploration began, which shattered the mystery of the moon. It broke down all the barriers of mystery and crossed every limit of excitement. This first lunar exploration began. Just a few moments had passed when something appeared before astronaut Buzz Aldrin's eyes that left him stunned for a moment. Actually, it was a sight of a bright, supernatural light that Buzz Aldrin himself saw with his own eyes. But he never shared this weird experience with National Aeronautics and Space Administration while he was on the moon. He remained silent and buried this secret in his heart as he headed back home to Earth. Finally, when he reached Earth on July 24, 1979, he revealed this unknown mystery to the whole world. Describing this incident, he said that when I was looking out of the lunar module's window, I saw something that completely shocked me. For a moment, I started wondering what that strange thing was, which I could see wandering on the moon right in front of my eyes. It was moving swiftly. It's a cluster of lights, which appears to be hovering just above the surface of the moon. Buzz Aldrin only said that, but after that, countless theories and rumors about UFOs and the presence of alien life on the moon started to emerge. However, these claims have been repeatedly refuted, and that too with the argument that we have been observing the moon for more than 6 decades now. In such a case, if there was any kind of life or alien life present there, it would definitely have come to our notice by now. But today, when so many rovers, landers and orbiters have been sent to the moon, they are constantly keeping the moon under surveillance. So why has nothing like that ever been seen? Why have we never observed any suspicious alien activity on the moon? The Chinese lander Chang'e 4 present on the moon is now dead, but the breath of life it has blown into the possibility of life on the moon remains. Brother, that's incredible. Actually, it's shocking. Actually, Chang'e makes it clear that the majority of the moon's composition is made up of volcanic ash, in which there are no traces of any such shiny or normally glowing elements present. This creates even more confusion about what exactly is on the far side of the moon that keeps attracting us again and again. By the way, China does make its research and discoveries available in the public domain, but it's still difficult to say what exactly is on the far side of the moon that keeps attracting us. But man, the question still remains, does an advanced civilization actually exist on the moon? One that we've been unaware of until now? And what are the possibilities that if we go to the moon again, the so-called aliens won't attack us? Now look man, because America is going back to the moon, and this time with some new intentions. In this case, if aliens exist there, our astronauts will definitely encounter them this time. Otherwise, National Aeronautics and Space Administration has already carried out dozens of different test missions before actually conducting its actual lunar landing mission, and during this time, from test flights landing there to staying for many hours. With satellites and advanced observation, National Aeronautics and Space Administration is lunar check is foolproof. Now, even if there were any aliens there, just think, wouldn't they have been caught by these cameras? Yes, brother, cameras. These massive satellites are basically big cameras that keep their eyes fixed on the moon every moment. So, one thing is confirmed from this, there is no advanced civilization permanently living on the moon. Now, if they are deliberately trying to hide from us, and as far as the far side of the moon is concerned, this part of the moon is actually quite suspicious and mysterious, because in the past few decades, something strange has constantly been seen happening there. Now, what exactly is there, we will only know by going there. But for now, what we know about that area of the moon is that going there will not be any less challenging. From restoring the radio network for communication to selecting the right landing site, a lot of things will have to be taken care of. The dark side of the moon is also quite scary because after reaching there, it becomes very difficult to maintain contact with Earth. And this very connection problem can bring even the best missions to a dead end. For example, India's Chandrayaan-2 probe failed due to this flaw. At the final moment, Israel's Bereshit lander also crashed there. And what if, in the future, a similar incident happens again? Especially with a human aboard the spacecraft, just thinking about it is chilling. Apart from some technical failures, the geography present on the far side of the moon can also become a big problem for our mission. Take a look at this. These are two pictures of the moon, one of which is of the part we call the near side of the moon, which always faces our Earth. And this is a picture of the far side of the moon, which is turned away from us. If you look closely at these two pictures, you can clearly see the difference between them just by looking at them. Actually, the part of the moon that always faces the Earth is practically more accessible because the landforms there are more even. Compared to the far side, in this corner of the moon, there are mountains due to the craters formed by asteroid impacts and the uneven distribution of masses. In fact, what we are calling mountains are actually volcanoes that have cooled down. During their active period, a lot of volcanic ash and magma deposits on the moon came out from here, which can turn our soft landing into a hard landing. So now you tell me, does it make any sense to land on the dark side of the moon with so many risks involved? We've already broken the spell of the so-called aliens here. Another warrior has been buried on Mars. Another attempt on Mars seems to have failed, and this time Mars has defeated a new power from Earth. The Chinese Mars rover Zhurong hasn't moved from its spot for 6 months. To protect it from the extreme cold winds and deadly chill on Mars, the Chinese space agency China National Space Administration had put this rover into hibernation mode, with the hope that when the winter ends, the mission would continue, but it's been almost 6 months since the winter ended. The rover hasn't even moved from its place. So far, China National Space Administration hasn't officially said anything about this mission, but the report from National Aeronautics and Space Administration's orbiter, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, that is Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, forces us to conclude that it couldn't survive the Martian winter. In the end, our machines have once again lost in front of nature. What's the whole story behind this Chinese rover? Is this mission really over? If yes, then what could be the reasons behind the mission ending like this? Let's find out in today's video. There was a time when China wasn't very active in space and astronomy. But in the past few years, China's activities in space have increased a lot. There has hardly been a year when China hasn't been in the news, whether it's about its falling space station Tiangong, it has definitely made the whole world worried. Other countries can't do anything here except compete with it. China shares very little data in the name of data sharing from its space missions. That's why very few people know about the success achieved in China's lunar exploration program. China has carried out 7 launches in this program, which started in 2007, and not a single mission has failed. They have landed orbiters, landers, and rovers on the moon. And in 2020, by completing the Chang'e 5 mission, they even brought about 2 kilograms of lunar soil samples back to Earth from the moon. Missions to the moon are also being prepared for 2023, 2025, 2026, and 2028. China made history by landing on Mars on its first attempt, not just the moon. The Planetary Exploration of China program was launched, and the Tianwen-1 mission was sent, which included an orbiter, a lander, and a rover to Mars. After about 7 months of deep space journey, on February 10, 2021, this spacecraft successfully entered Mars's orbit. For the next 3 months, the landing site for its lander and rover was pinpointed and studied. And finally, on May 14, 2021, the lander and rover successfully landed on Mars. They made a soft landing on the surface, and China became the second country to make a soft landing on Mars. This achievement in itself was very significant. The rover leaves the lander's ramp and explores Utopia Planitia on Mars. Now, it's not just America's flag on Mars. China has also joined this race. The main objective of this mission is to test China's deep space communication and control technology, but it has landed on Mars to accomplish 5 objectives. The first is to understand the geological structure of Mars, to study the large structures on this planet like volcanoes, canyons, glaciers, and riverbeds. Next, it will collect surface and subsurface Martian soil samples to study water distribution and water ice presence. It is also a main objective to find out the composition of Martian rocks and the minerals found in rocks from ancient lakes so that the existence of rivers on Mars can be confirmed. And along with that, studying its atmosphere and the weather of Mars is an important part of this mission, so that it can be understood how Mars actually works. And finally, studying the internal structure of Mars and its magnetic field has been one of the main objectives of this mission. And it is also mentioned on Wikipedia that China could carry out a sample return mission to Mars by 2030, and this same rover will collect those samples and preserve them until 2030. However, this rover did its job well until 2022, but who has ever succeeded against Mars and its mysterious sands? After the winter season starts on Mars. The temperature on Mars drops rapidly, and at the same time, the Chinese space agency CNSC releases a statement, the decreasing power generation capacity of the solar wings. This happened due to the sand on Mars, the dust storms, and the extremely low temperatures in the surroundings. Because of the rover's design, limitations, and flight control strategy, we will have to put the Zhurong rover into sleep mode. And in this way, on May 18, 2022, this rover standing on Mars is put to sleep for some time so that its energy can be conserved. However, the space agency also said Zhurong would wake up around December 2022. When the spring season arrives on Mars, it will wake up from sleep mode and resume its normal work. That means when the conditions on Mars improve, this rover will also start working. But for now, it will have to save its power, and it's necessary for us to do this to keep it alive. But December passed, then January, and even February. It's been almost 6 months now. Spring season has already started on Mars, but the rover still hasn't woken up, which means it's still in sleep mode. No matter how much Mars fascinates us, the conditions there are extremely harsh. Especially when it comes to winters, the cold on Mars proves to be the most dangerous for our rovers. This rover from China also faced extreme temperatures. During winters, the temperature around this rover was about -20 degrees Celsius during the day, while at night it dropped down to -100 degrees. At the time when this rover was powered down, dust storms in that area were also quite active. As a result, sand and dust built up on the rover's solar panels. Because of this, it was not able to generate energy in the weak sunlight during the winter. China has not said anything about this mission recently. Whether this mission is over, whether the rover will work or not, no official from China has answered any of these questions yet. In fact, all this news has come out. National Aeronautics and Space Administration's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter took 3 images of the Martian surface with its high-resolution imaging science experiment camera. We can see the rover in these images from March 11 and September 8, 2022. It hasn't moved and remains in the same spot. But in the third image, which was taken on February 7, 2023, we can see that the rover hasn't moved at all. After this, National Aeronautics and Space Administration scientists also released some more images of this rover. From this, it appears that this rover probably couldn't withstand the harsh cold of Mars, and maybe this rover's mission is over. However, there is no update from China's side regarding this. But one thing to think about here is that if machines can't withstand the cold of Mars, let us know in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with your friends. For more informative videos like this, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Friends, we'll meet again with another new informative video like this. Till then, stay curious, be happy, and goodbye.